So you've got your canvas stretched and you're ready to gesso. If you've bought pre-primed canvas, you can skip this video. For the rest of us though, the first thing you want to do is lay down some newspaper or a drop cloth of some kind. And then you want to put down a support on which your canvas can rest while you're gessoing it. Some people use bricks, some people use old books. You just want to make sure that there's some space so you can paint the sides of the canvas and your canvas won't seal itself to your support. So this is just an old screen printing frame, just like the one that's on the canvas that I'm going to gesso. Okay, so gesso, some people like to thin their gesso. Some people say that the first coat of your gesso should be gesso plus as much water as it takes to make it seem like heavy cream. I like to do it this way. So you've got your canvas out, you pour a significant amount of gesso onto the canvas. You go get one of these handy dandy plaster applying scraper doohickeys, and then you just smooth your gesso out. Adding gesso when it starts getting thin. You have to do this relatively quickly because gesso will start drying and it'll start feeling kind of pasty. And don't forget your edges. You also have to do the sides of your canvas. So might as well do it now. Then you can get a brush out, and with that brush, smooth out any big blurps that you've got going on. Don't leave this on your newspaper, as it will seal itself to the newspaper. So I always put it on top of my plastic gesso bucket. You're set there. And this is the part that gets a little tedious. You have to make sure that you don't end up with any cat hairs or human hairs in your gesso, and that you don't end up with any little bits of old dried gesso in there. Maybe they dried around the lip of your gesso bucket and came out when you poured out your paint. And you want to make sure that the paint lays flat so you don't have a blurp or a ridge, because gesso holds enough of its body as it dries that ridge won't flatten out for you. It'll stay ridge-like, it'll dry ridge-like, and then you'll have to sand it down, and that's just a pain. Make sure that you run your brush around the corners to knock down any little lip of paint that's hanging out at the edge there. Coat number 1, done. We'll wait for it to dry. The first thing you need is this. You must have a particle mask to sand, okay? When you sand, you're gonna knock up a bunch of toxic dust. This dust can give you lung cancer, brain tumors. It can decrease the ability of your lungs to intake oxygen. Do not sand this without one of these, and do not sand this in your house. Sand this outside. Okay, so that's where I'm going right now. I've got some 100 grit. I'm gonna tear tear off a little chunk. I'm going to sand the whole thing down and I'll be right back. And voila! We have a single coat, nicely sanded. It's smooth as you run your hand across it. There shouldn't be anything that feels really rough on there. And now we're going to repeat the process again. We're going to put down another coat of gesso. Same process with the squeegee and the brush. Make sure everything's nice and flat, smoothed out, no little boogies or hairs in it. Let it dry, and then you're going to take the canvas outside and you're going to sand it again with a finer sandpaper. It can be 200, it can be 150, doesn't matter. Again, you're just going to make sure that there's no rough spots and everything is smooth and pretty. You're going to bring it inside. You're going to do a third coat of gesso. You're going to let it dry, making sure there are no boogies or hairs or ridges in it. You're going to take it outside. You're going to sand it again with the 150, the 200 grit sandpaper. And then, and only then, are you ready to paint on this bad boy. Remember to wear your particle mask. Remember to sand outside. Remember to feel your canvas a lot. Make sure there's no roughness on there. All right, I will see you for sketching and underpainting tomorrow.